where do you keep your Emmys?
They're right above me.
That's Dawn Rodney, a multi-Emmy award-winning creative and marketing executive. Throughout Dawn's career, she's helped transform institutions like the National Geographic, where she worked for nearly 2 decades. Today, she continues her national impact as Chief External Affairs Officer at the National Park Foundation. And just, I would say last year, about 300 million people went to our national parks. I'm just spitting numbers.
So this is incredible. It's actually 340 million.
340
million people went to our
I'm off by 40. Yeah, that's more than the number of people who go to Disney World and the NFL games combined.
Most people don't realize that they actually probably live within about 50 miles of a national park.
In this episode, we're exploring America's national parks with one of the special people that helps preserve these magical places. And who wouldn't want to know what an Emmy award-winning creative watches during her off hours? One she calls brilliant television. Stay tuned till the end. I'm Camila Rente, and this is Impact After Hours, a show about pursuing a life of impact on and off the clock. Dawn, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Camille. I am just so excited about talking to you today.
I am too, because I want to get a little bit nerdy about national parks and obviously the work that you do. But I have to start by asking somewhat of an obvious question, which is, do you have a favorite national park? And if you were talking to someone, just casually, how would you convince them to go there?
Great question. I like to say my favorite national park is the last one I went to.
Okay.
But I have to tell you, there's a couple that actually have really connected with me in my heart, which I know is weird to say, but there is a moment of awe that you have when you go to a national park. So I would say the Grand Tetons are that for me, right? I flew into Jackson Hole to go to the Tetons and Yellowstone, and it took my breath away.
Wow.
It took my breath away. And and so what I would say to folks, there's spectacular, incredible places in this country, like the Grand Tetons, that people have to feel and see for themselves. It's not good enough just to see them on the pages of a magazine or on the television screen.
Is there anything about that specific park that makes it stand out a little bit amongst the hundreds of parks that we have?
Oh gosh, it is just the views. It's just incredibly spectacular. And that, and again, it's hard to say because we have 433 national parks, right?
Yes.
So it's hard to pick a favorite. And so I hate just saying it about the Tetons, right? Because there's also Yosemite. I was just recently, I was at Mesa Verde National Park, where they have incredible cliff dwellings from the Pueblo communities, and that are hundreds and hundreds of years old. And so every park of those 403 have something really special and magical about them. So I hate picking a favorite, but like you asked, so I had to do that.
Yes. It's like picking a favorite child.
Yes, exactly.
And you said 430, right?
433.
433, to be very precise.
Yes, very precise.
How many have you been to? Have you counted?
I have counted. I'm so glad you asked that. When I first joined the National Park Foundation, I went through the list of parks and realized that I had been to well over 70 parks in my lifetime. And most of them, I did not realize that I had been to that many parks. I have been to probably another 20 during my time here. So let's put it at almost 100 of those parks.
100. So about a fourth of, and, I suppose there are many more for you to visit. That's probably on your list.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I mentioned getting a little bit nerdy. in this episode, which I'm excited about because I really am a nerd at heart. My question is, there are different types of parks.
Yes.
Right, Dawn? Would it be all right for you to kind of just walk us through like the types of parks?
Absolutely. I think most people know about the Yellowstones, the Yosemites, the Acadias, the Grand Canyon, right? Those are very typical.
Yes.
And I think what people don't realize that there are historical parks. So I mentioned Mesa Verde, right? That is in that category. But we also have things like the San Antonio missions are part of the park system, which is a very, very cool part of the historical parks that the Park Service is responsible for. There are battlefields, Gettysburg, Valley Forge, some of these places that play an incredible part in the history of this country. We also have monuments, the National Mall and the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument. All of those places are part of our country's national park system. So most people don't realize that they actually probably live within about 50 miles of a national park.
Wow. And what is the process to be declared a national park?
So it's interesting. There's a couple of ways that a national park can happen. Most of them start with an executive order. So usually it is the president deciding, but it is grassroots, right?
Yes.
The country and a community have to decide that a place is of significance to this country's history, significant to this country's story, right?
Yes.
So it starts grassroots, but eventually has to make its way up to Congress and the president to be able to declare it a national park.
And just to also bring it back to sort of my experience and probably others who visit other countries. So my family and I recently came from Europe, and obviously we were in awe of the architecture and how we're learning about history through the architecture. I just feel like how you're explaining this to us, Dawn, and when people learn about the National Park Foundation and the national parks, like when we're asked about the beauty of America, right? Like the physical, the tangible, like what the eyes can see. Like we should consider that as a way for people to know that, this is part of America's beauty, like the national parks.
Yes. So what's interesting about what you were saying, Camille, is that our parks are the model for the world. It is a uniquely American idea to set aside these places that are very special to us, that represent who we are as a country, and preserve them and protect them for future generations to explore, discover, and enjoy. And that model didn't exist in the early 1900s, didn't exist anywhere in the world.
Wow.
And so, we as Americans said, these are special. And the world realized that model could work for them as well. So we really think it's really important to continue to be that world-class experience.
Yes.
Because we do lead the world in what this actually means for a country to be able to set aside and declare and protect these places.
And you being the expert, I can imagine listeners wanting to know more about how you got here, Dawn. So a little bit about about your journey.
It was a long one,
which is interesting to us as well, because you spent 18 years at National Geographic.
I did. Yes, I did.
And we recently had Caitlin Yarnall, who is
she's a good friend. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I did not know that. To be very transparent, one of our producers added that question because they found that connection, you having worked at the National Geographic for that amount of time. And I believe she continues to work there at the organization. You have had I would say, an incredible imprint. Is that a fair assumption? on the brand, and you launched some pivotal, I would say, projects there.
Mm-hmm.
The National Geographic Channel and Nat Geo Wild. What was your involvement there?
So at the time, I was employee number, I think, 19, maybe
Wow.
12. I don't know. It's many years ago. I came in as the creative director for the National Geographic Channel. And I came about 6 months before launch. I think we may have had 20 people on staff. So it was a job that we had to figure out, what was this new thing going to be to represent the National Geographic brand on television? My work was everything from, the overall creative messaging, the overall promotion, the overall branding, all of that. And I did 1,000 other things because it was like a startup. It was totally like a startup. Even though we were embedded in the National Geographic Society, we were also, and by the way, it was a partnership at the time with Fox.
Uh-huh.
And most people, I don't know if most people realize that. So we had the business side of Fox, and we had the incredible mission of the National Geographic Society. And being able to figure out and merge those two things in a way to build a successful channel was really exciting and wonderful. And then along the way, we realized that the idea of the animal documentaries and that was a place that people loved.
Yes.
And so the decision was made to create a separate channel really dedicated to wildlife and everything. And I worked hand in hand with the general manager of that channel to really decide and create the brand, to connect the brand back to the very mission of the National Geographic Society and the wildlife conservation work of the society. And, and then I think at that time I was senior vice president of strategic marketing.
Uh-huh.
So that work it was a lot of the marketing, the launch, the creative, the branding, all of that was part of the work that I did there.
And it is a very recognizable brand.
Yeah.
Which is a testament to your work, Dawn. And I, the few times that we've spoken, Dawn, you seem like a very humble person, but I want to brag on your behalf that you've won multiple Emmys.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this question asked of actors. Where do you keep your Emmys, or where do you keep those trophies?
They're right above me.
Oh, they're right above you, and we can't see it.
But I have to tell you, Camille, it took me probably a decade to start displaying them. They were kind of on a shelf for a while, kind of tucked in the back. And I had some wonderful friends and colleagues from National Geographic to say, no, you have to start displaying them. And so, so now they are displayed. I rarely tilt the camera, but I will tell you, there have been times I've used it as a power move.
Yes.
So I've been in conversations with people and I just tilt the camera and say, I think I know what I'm talking about. Right. So
Dawn, I feel bad because our Webby is displayed right.
I love your Webby. I've got one of those too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I guess it was just more so to decorate, honestly. And then, sometimes people would comment and, ask the story about how we got it. It is also a way for us to take stock, I suppose, of the hard work that we put into whatever it is that we create. Whether it's a show or channels.
It's a validation. It really is a validation that the work you are doing matters, that it's recognized, and then it's of the highest quality possible in the world, right? That Webby is a global award. Congratulations, right? That says the world said that what you did was excellent. And that, I think, I know it's hard to, I'm the worst to tell you, but I love that you have your Webby right there.
I agree. It is a validation, and also a way for you to keep going as well.
Yes.
Because you are seen, right? The work is seen and recognized. So from the National Geographic, Dawn, you now work at the National Park Foundation, which has been around for 50?
It's almost 60, actually.
Almost 60.
Almost 60. Yeah, next year we celebrate our 60th anniversary.
What made you join the National Park Foundation?
Such a great question. When I was contacted by a recruiter for this position, I had had a little bit of experience with the National Park Foundation in 2015 while I was at National Geographic around the centennial celebration of our national parks. So I knew a little bit about it. I think what drew me to the position was not just the role that I would play, but it was the parks. It was the parks. And I think for me, not only it was what the parks represent to this country, but as a marketer and a creative, I saw so much potential in what I could do as, in my role for this organization that would ultimately benefit these incredible places. Like I knew I could do something of value. I knew that it would lead to very tangible things that mattered.
Walk us through, what the National Park Foundation does, but also, if you can, because I believe we talked a little bit about this when we first met, what the relationship is between philanthropy and nature.
Yeah. So let me first start with the National Park Foundation. We are America's way to give to their national parks. And what we do is we turn the generosity of our donors into direct impact in our parks. And what that means is we work hand in hand with the Park Service. We are the official nonprofit for the National Park Service, and we are the only national official nonprofit for the Park Service. So we have a very close relationship with them where we can figure out where philanthropy is going to make the most difference. And we do things like address workforce housing issues in our parks, which absolutely the entire country is facing this issue, but it's felt very intensely within the park system. We work closely with them on how do we help them drive innovation, find new solutions that are going to ultimately help create a much better visitor experience. We work with them on educational programs in connecting young children and youth to our parks so that they develop a really great appreciation and understanding of the parks. And I've really met some incredible, especially through the Service Corps programs that we support, I've met some incredible young people who are so dedicated to giving back and helping to use their talents to be able to preserve and protect these places. From a wildlife conservation standpoint, there is our national parks are home to some of the most iconic creatures in this country, right? And so there is incredible work that is happening within the parks to really protect those species and to really ensure that those species are surviving. So whether it's bison or I want to say a black-footed ferret, but I'm not sure I'm going to be completely accurate on that. But there's just an incredible amount of work, and we really help support the innovation that is required to be able to figure out those solutions for the wildlife conservation.
And just, I would say last year, about 300 million people went to our national parks. I'm just spitting numbers.
No. So this is incredible. It's actually 340 million.
340.
Yeah, Camille, that is more than Disney World, our NFL games, all combined, right? So yes. Yeah, there's a lot of love for our national parks.
How would you encourage the everyday person about supporting the preservation of the parks that they love to visit? Any sort of do's and don'ts if you're a visitor?
So, of course, a couple of things. the work that we do is really in partnership with local park partners. There is most likely in the park that you love a park partner who is really on the ground supporting that national park. So first and foremost, I would say seek out that park partner and see if there's volunteer opportunities, if there's opportunities to donate, if there are ways that you can get involved through that park partner. On the national scale for the National Park Foundation, I would say that, honestly, like showing your support through a donation is probably the best way to engage with us. I think what's important for folks to know is that government funding is nowhere near enough to actually be able to support our national parks. And it's the funding that we get from donors, either through us or the park partners get, that actually helps make more possible for these parks that government funding wouldn't be able to do. So while I know sometimes that donations are not possible, when you can, giving is really a great way to do that. But there's other opportunities through volunteerism and other things where you can get involved.
We talked a little bit too in the past about messaging and being crystal clear. And some of our more practical viewers love getting those like nuggets or like tidbits from our experts, from our guests on how you can make your message crystal clear, or any sort of advice you have when it comes to messaging, when it comes to storytelling for a nonprofit like the National Park Foundation.
I think if you are positioning yourself to go into a field that is really a purpose-driven organization, I think it's really important that that purpose matches your values as well, because that will come through in any interview, in any conversation, in any way. I would also say that the world is changing so much that you have to be really adaptable. And so as you are thinking about your message to one trying to get into the field, but once you're in that field, like being a continuous learner is critical. I think the role and the importance of the nonprofit work that is happening in this country is only going to grow. And I think there will be tremendous opportunities for young people to be able to get into the kind of fields with the organizations that match their passions. I would just also say that AI is an incredible force. And, I always tell from a messaging standpoint, my team and I talk a lot about how we have to be creating the story that AI is telling about the organization. And so having a really deep understanding of both AI as a tool, but AI as a strategy for messaging and creative and the work that you're doing, I think is really important. So often we go, okay, we're going to use Claude, or let's use GPT to be able to like zhuzh, right? Or to start with a single draft or whatever. That's AI as a tool. And that is wonderful. And oh, by the way, like I love it because it gives you a starting point. I think AI as a strategy, people are still trying to figure out. And I think that is where there's some exciting things that I think people can be thinking about. But we talk a lot, like you can't just let AI go. We have to be strategic about how we are feeding the beast, if you will, to be able to tell the story that is really important for us to tell. I don't know. I feel like we just went through all kinds of like, what do you do if you want to get into this field? And wait, AI. So
it's perfect. And I picked up on a couple of things from a more personal standpoint. It's just more authentic. It comes across more authentic when you yourself are looking for purpose-driven work. And it comes through every interview, which right now we're having, Dawn. I feel like we could record this or not record this, and I would be hearing the same story from you.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a spectacular lesson for our listeners to, I guess, lean into like literally how they're feeling about their jobs or their professions or their careers. I would say that happened to me as a career switcher. I came from corporate law and I, followed my gut, and it has never been more organic for me to want to keep doing this type of work, which is, producing podcasts for social impact and environmental impact. And then the other thing that I'm picking up on, which is very interesting to me, is not to be afraid of AI as this tectonic shift that we're experiencing.
Yeah.
And I suppose I rarely hear that from nonprofit leaders, Dawn.
Interesting.
Yes. So I'm taking notes and taking that with me as well. And our listeners will probably do the same, right? Like, how can we, as you said, use AI as a strategy rather than just a tool? I wish we could sit down with you and kind of be in some type of workshop with you. I don't know if that's possible. But Dawn, before I suppose we go into the perfect or sort of our standard lightning round of questions.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, you're at a hotel on vacation. Would we find you at the gym, the restaurant, or by the pool?
By the pool.
By the pool. So you love the water. Okay. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, Journey's Don't Stop Believing.
Don't Stop Believing. Yep, it's a crowd favorite.
Exactly.
Which animal best matches your personality and why?
I actually know the answer to that. A Mustang.
A Mustang.
First of all, I love horses. I feel like they're my spirit animal. But there's just an incredible energy and strength to that animal in unexpected ways.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about some of the characteristics of a Mustang that you think you also exhibit. Okay. What world record do you think you'd have a chance at beating if you really tried?
Gosh, the first thing that came to mind is number of glasses of wine in 24 hours. No, but I'm not sure that.
That sounds like a fun challenge.
Okay, wait, to get really serious, and this isn't really serious, I would love to try a yo-yo world record. I think that would be really fun. I don't know why I picked that, but I loved a yo-yo as a child. It might be a little bit of that fidget thing happening when I was a kid. I always had a yo-yo in my hand and I always loved playing with it.
So I learned about you, which is you have a big blended family, a beautiful family.
Me too.
And, as a parent myself, I know that it's an ongoing learning experience. Has there been a more sort of recent moment that's changed the way you think about family or parenting? Anything that your family taught you more recently?
I would say, Camille, you and I talked a little bit about this. One of the things about my blended family of 10 children.
10.
I know, 10, is that, several of our children have differing needs and challenges.
Yes.
And I think what I learned from my children is the incredible resilience and possibility. They inspire me all the time with what they are able to achieve. And I always take that with me. There is, my oldest daughter, Sophia.
Yes.
Who, when she was born, I was told she wouldn't walk, she wouldn't clap her hands, she wouldn't do. That's all people told me she won't be able to do. That child just moved out on her own I can't call her a child anymore. She's about to turn 25.
Yes.
She just moved out on her own. She has her driver's license. She has an incredible job. She's got a gig thing on the side with Instacart as well on top of her job. I mean, she is thriving. She is absolutely thriving. So my kids inspire me all the time. Like every time but that, those moments that you knew were possible as a parent, you knew that if you could just lift them up, that they would be able to do things that most people never thought possible.
And isn't it amazing how I know our personal lives sometimes really are separate from our professional lives, right? Like there are certain projects and certain undertakings that we have that seem impossible or really sort of stress us out and challenge us. But then somehow it comes through. And somehow it works.
Yes, somehow. Somehow.
One of the questions that we ask all of our guests, and I'm very curious about your answer to this, is what is your go-to after-hours media? What have you been watching, reading, or listening to lately?
So I'll give you a little bit of both. I have lots of interest, and coming from the television business, I have lots of things I do, but I am also an avid reader.
Yes.
So I kind of have two things. First of all, for reading, I know this is going to sound funny, but I love romantasy. Huge fan. I love like Sarah Moss and, and that, Throne of Glass series and, so like that genre. I also share that with my daughters, which is really fun. But I would say right now what the appointment television is the third season of House of Dragons. I'm a huge Game of Thrones. I think that was brilliant television. Some of the best television ever. And I just love that genre. So that's what I'm watching right now.
So you and I both, Dawn, I'm glad that you mentioned House of Dragon and appointment viewing. It's interesting because I feel like it's still very understated how brilliant the writing is and the storytelling. It blows my mind. Like
the cinematography, like every aspect of it is amazing, right?
Is there anything that you want to share with our listeners, our viewers about the National Park Foundation? Anything big that's coming up for you? Any campaigns that you might want to tease?
Yeah, we have National Park Week coming up in August. It is a great time to raise your hand. It's a great time to really show your support of our national parks. It is around the National Park Service birthday on August 25th. So that whole week, you're going to be seeing a lot of really fun things out in the world, whether it's through some of our corporate partners, through the work we're doing, what the Park Service is doing, all of our park partners. It's really this wonderful moment. We're all kind of rallying together to be able to celebrate our national parks. So be on the lookout for that. Figure out how you can raise your hand, figure out how you can support our parks. That would be wonderful.
That would be, I would say, an absolutely perfect time for you to start getting into, volunteering or just getting to know the parks a little bit more. Dawn, honestly, I had so much fun. I learned a lot about our parks, which is what my intention was. This morning, before we hopped on. So thank you so much for joining me on Impact After Hours, Dawn.
Camille, it's been such a pleasure. I love talking to you. Let me know when I can come back. It would be great.
Yes, we'll make it happen.